Welcome, everyone. I'm Michelle Sugihara, Executive Director of CAPE, the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment, and we are so excited to celebrate the Never List tonight. Unfortunately, Boo Boo had a conflict arise, but he did send in a video message. So we are going to jump right in. We're going to start with the trailer and Boo Boo's message, and then I'm going to turn it over to our fabulous moderator, actor, and producer, Michael Toe. So without further ado, let's watch the trailer.
When we were little kids, Liz and I would dress up as bad girls named Vicky and Veronica. We made up a list of things that we would never do, but Vicky and Veronica would. And we called it the Never List.
I thought of something new for the list. Be rock stars.
Be rock stars?
Yes! Imagine we're up on stage and everybody's in the crowd and we're like, yeah, dance and dance and dance until the world ends. Woo!
I really miss you, and I do not know how to let you go.
Baby, don't you cry no more. Let the tear clear your eyes.
Are you gonna do the rest of the list?
This is so gonna rock.
You get up there and you sing your little heart out.
I gotta get out of here.
Ava, no, Ava! Ava!
Well, you're just gonna throw your future away? You think that is what your best friend wanted? Stop!
That's why I always dug about you. You are who you are, and it's awesome.
Hey, Fivel and Andrew, congratulations on the Never List. Thank you so much for letting me and that band Honey be part of it. But seriously, you guys should be very proud of your performances and what you all made together. Congratulations. Bye.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for coming to watch the Q&A and panel for the Never List. And I'll get right to it. Our first guest is the star and lead of the movie, Fievel Stewart.
Hi. Hello. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah, okay, you can.
Fievel, are you there?
Yeah, it says I'm on screen.
Hi, Fievel. I
Okay,
can't.
wow.
Can you guys? I can't hear.
It says I'm not muted.
Can anybody? Can you guys? Fievel, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't hear you, but that's okay. So, I mean, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much. It's been very exciting.
Actually, Jess, I'm sorry. Can you try? Is there a way to get my volume, Jess?
Good? How about now?
Okay. Fievel, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I still can't hear you.
So weird. It said.
All right. So maybe I can ask you some questions, and I can't lip read, but I'll do my best. So Fievel, you play Eva Jeffries, and you're known for your roles in Atypical, Hansel and Gretel, Warriors and Witchcraft, and the upcoming Sam Raimi produced supernatural horror, starring you and Sandra Oh. And it's written by and directed by Ira Shim. I don't know if you know the connection, but she was a Cape New Writers Fellow.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So you've been really busy.
Yeah, thankfully, luckily, I have made it through COVID with a job under my belt, we are a successful film that made it through, and it was an amazing experience. So yeah, I've stayed pretty busy. I'm so
So
sorry
I
you
believe.
can't hear me. This is so unfortunate.
Sorry, I'm gonna give you 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can try something else to see if I
Yeah,
can hear.
yeah.
Can you try? Could I bring earpods maybe for me? Fine. I'll ask you another question.
Mhm.
So I believe this is your first lead in a feature film. I mean, Hansel and Gretel, you were with your brother Boo Boo.
Mhm.
But how has that been? I'm sure it's a different feel than being in an ensemble cast like you would being in Atypical or
Mhm.
some of your other films. How does it feel being the lead and everything on your shoulders?
Um, it was quite amazing, and I think that we got really lucky because the crew was, it was like a little family, especially having Janine, the DP. Um, I think I don't know, everything was so fluid, and meeting Andrew just made it much more exciting. So I came to set like every day with even more encouragement to show up and do my best. But it was quite interesting because I was in almost every scene, and it was such a small crew. So even if I wasn't in the scene, I was still there, and I working with Michelle, and it was just like our baby that we were just carrying through, and it was quite amazing. I think I got really lucky for it being my first lead and it being such an easy flow, really. Oh, now I can't hear you. Oh no. I can't hear you. We can do sign language. I kind of know sign language. Okay, you'll be back. Okay. Hopefully.
Hi, Fivel.
Hi. Can you hear me?
We're not going to leave you hanging out here. Yeah, I can.
Okay. Okay, great. Oh man, that's so unfortunate. I hope we can fix that.
Yeah, I think he's going to call back in.
Okay,
And
cool.
so, why don't you talk a little bit more about the process of making this film?
Mm.
We're so excited. So, it comes out tomorrow, and everybody's going to watch it. And so, what can they expect to see, or what is it that you want them to take away from it?
I just did another interview, and there was a really similar question. The question was like, what do I want the audience to, literally take away from it? And I think it's just, the fact that no matter how old you are, you will lose someone. And I think this movie is really good for people to be able to relate and to understand that if anything did happen in your life similar, that it is very important to just actually feel like I don't want to say sit in the grief, but for there to be space to be able to understand what actually has happened so you don't go and jeopardize your life. And I think that throughout the Never List, the story, it's really told nicely through Ava, who is a young teenager, and it's so realistic that like when you're young, you kind of just become reckless. So I'm just hoping that people really they understand that it's okay, to be sad, and it's okay to understand that you just lost someone so important, and that it will get better with time. But in order for that to happen, you actually have to be able to heal.
Oh, hello, Michael.
I am so sorry, guys. I don't know what happened.
It's okay. Can you hear?
Yes, I can. This, what this feels like.
Yay!
This feels like, I'm an actor as well, and this feels like in theater when you're all of a sudden in, and then all of a sudden someone forgets their lines,
Oh,
and everyone's watching, and
oh.
you don't know what to do.
And it makes it more exciting. You know, this isn't, we're not, no one, nothing's perfect. So it's okay.
It raised the energy level.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, so I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answers there, but I'm sure they were fantastic, and I won't go back. So one of the interesting things is you've worked a lot with your family in your films, and in this film, The Never List, you've had your dad, the stunt coordinator. He had a cameo appearance. Boo Boo was there, and his band, that band, Honey, played. Sage was there too. And that happens for some of your, quite a bit of your films and projects. But the thing that's different about this one is you met Andrew on this, who is the leading man in the movie The Never List, Andrew Kai, who will join us later. What was that like, meeting him for the first time with your family all around and everyone watching when you have your kiss? And
oh, that's actually a really funny question. I remember, I'm assuming you've seen it, or if you haven't, that's okay too. There is the funeral scene where we are at the house, and Andrew and I are standing next to each other, and someone's crying. And I remember shooting that scene, and my dad was there with me on set, because he comes with me if he can. And he points Andrew out, and he goes, "Oh, so that's your boyfriend in the movie?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hmm." And like, it seemed like he knew, he telepathically knew what was gonna happen. it was so funny, and like the interactions. There's also another scene where my dad is the security guard, and Anna Grace is throwing up in the bathroom, and Andrew had to be rude to my dad. And it was kind of the first encounter that they really have ever had with each other.
He called him a loser.
Yeah, he did. And the first few times they did it, it was just really awkward. He was like, "I feel so uncomfortable doing this." But oddly enough, I think it kind of just in a good way, sped things up. There was no "Dad, this is my new boyfriend, Andrew." It was "Oh yeah, this is Andrew. We're together, and you already know him." It was just such a fluid thing that there was no pressure. I thought it was really nice, actually.
Yeah, for those that don't know, your dad is a well-known stunt person in Hollywood, and he's not a poor guy. And so for Andrew to kind of have to say that, it's quite a feat.
Yeah.
And actually, when I first announced that I was going to do the panel here, so many people reached out to me who worked with your dad all throughout Hollywood, and so that he's so many people were, I was getting all the Boo Boos and the Fievel Stewart, all the questions there. But then there's the Nile fan club too.
Yeah, it's Nils. But yeah,
Nils,
so many people have worked with him. He's definitely made his rounds through Hollywood.
So, what drew you to the role of Ava?
So I remember auditioning for it so vividly, like it was yesterday, honestly. And it was a self-tape, and it was the very beginning time when self-tapes were becoming more of the normal thing to do. And I personally don't self-tapes really stress me out, but I read the sides that I had received, and I immediately fell in love with. So I auditioned with the funeral scene, the last scene of the movie, or one of the last scenes, where I'm at her grave. And I feel like I don't know, it was so easy for me to memorize the lines, and it was so easy for me to feel connected to what she was going through, even though until recently, I haven't really lost anyone close to me. So it was interesting for me to be so easily attached to it. But the writing, the storytelling, and the audition process, I really was excited to film this on tape, and I don't really feel that way a lot. And so yeah, I think it was just the whole process of it starting, really.
Well, you did a wonderful job, and you talked about it's the underlying story is a loss of your your best friend.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
you really did an incredible job holding that throughout the film,
Oh, thank you.
and different and the different levels on that, and it's amazing to hear that it wasn't something that you drew directly upon, and able to yet at the same time make it so
Yeah.
impactful to the audience.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I remember, I mean, the only person at that time I had ever lost was my sensei, who, who at that, I mean, he was the only thing I can pull from, and even though I had lost him, like, years prior, but losing anyone, like, you never lose that feeling of, I don't know, the sorrow, the grief,
Mm. So your mom is Chinese, Japanese, and Korean.
Mm, mhm,
Daniel's is Scottish, Russian, and Native American.
mm.
How did you identify growing up?
Oh, this is a really interesting question because, just to relate the two, I play Korean, and Sandra and I had so many, and Iris had so many conversations about growing up so American. Like, I identify very American, even though I look native, I look Japanese, I look many things, and I mean, I feel like I can relate most to being Korean. Like, I love the Korean culture, but like I'm not like an authentic Asian person, and so it's quite interesting actually, like looking one thing but really feeling another. you know
Sure. And the way probably some people treat you, and probably um, maybe at some points put their own
Yeah,
right,
totally.
their
For
biases on who you are, and
yeah. I mean, thankfully I haven't like been so stereotyped, but like sometimes it's a quite interesting feeling where it's like, oh, that's Asian, so you know what it is. I'm like, I don't know, actually.
it's fantastic to be able to have you as a lead, right, in a film, um, rather than these, maybe a generation or half generation ago, where a lot of times they would be supporting. And my wife, who's a big fan of Keiko, when Keiko was on, she was the only representation, right?
Yeah.
So actually, Jesse, if you want to bring on our next guest to join.
Hey, everybody.
You look so cute.
You look so good.
Oh my
Thank you.
You
Welcome,
too, Michael. You too.
Yeah.
And you get this all the time, I'm sure, Keiko, but your glasses are amazing. I love it.
Thank you. They're new.
So many people know you from so many different things. From obviously as Lane Kim in the long-running Gilmore Girls, all the guest stars and reoccurring that you've done over the years, and currently now as a series regular on Prodigal Son.
You can just keep going if you just want to flatter. That's fine. We can roll out. We're going to spend the next 45 minutes, just whatever comes to your mind. No question.
Icon, hair icon, glasses icon.
My friend Emily Kuroda played Mrs. Kim.
Yeah, she did.
And she says hello. And speaking of mom, she played a very strict mom. And there was situations where she would, Lane had these things about wanting to play her, her music and live through her music. And Mrs. Kim was very strict. Now here you are in the Never List, and having some similarities to that with Ava, Fivel's character. So what do you see as your character, and some of the similarities or some of the differences between that and Mrs. Kim?
You know what's so funny is that I didn't think of that until you just said it right now, and yeah, it's true. Mrs. Kim is extremely strict. I guess the similarity was so Michelle Mower, who's going to come on in a little bit, as our director, and she's so open. I hope I didn't bulldoze her too much during the process, but she was so open that I had this idea in my head, I guess, of what I think mothers are like. I don't know if it's because I spent 7 years as Lane Kim with a very strict mother or not. My mom is not strict. I don't know. My actual mom is not strict, so I don't know where I get this. I came into the Neverlist thinking that moms are just really tough to deal with. And so I feel like I played every scene as if I'm like just very hard to please. I don't, yeah, it just sort of came out that way.
The poster scene. Like it was just the poster scene where like I make a poster and you're like, what the hell is this?
It's just like nothing good enough.
It is nothing.
Not great. Like that's my home base. And I don't know if that's because I think part of it, I'll be honest, like I didn't think about this till afterwards, but I'll be totally honest. I think it was a little bit of the fact that, so I don't have kids, and I have a lot of friends in Los Angeles that for some reason, most of them don't have kids. And so it might've been a little bit of overcompensating, like me feeling like, no, I'm going to show you that I'm not afraid to look like I'm tough with children's. So go watch the Neverlist and see if you think the same thing that I just said. Everyone out there in the world, go.
Well, you did a great job, good, because I have three daughters, 2 teenagers, 1 preteen, and they the back and forth and all the things that you and Fievel went through in the different scenes, I related directly. I mean, like you said, the poster scene and the heartbreak and the wanting to support. It really, the both of you were fantastic. Had the both of you worked together before?
No. And it was kind of just like, here's your mom, here's your daughter. Like there was no there was no process. You know what I mean? Like, what's the process? Like, well, you show up and
you shoot it.
Yes. You know, like it was nothing really.
Well, I'm sure the way the both of you played your characters, it was probably in some ways you were able to kind of draw on that, because there's times where I talk to my daughter and then there's no response or turning away, and then when there's tough scenes of strict pieces, you guys really worked very well together. It felt like there was no it felt like you were going through all the emotions and growing pains that a teenager in this situation would go through, and the relationship with a mom and your parents. So I'm going to ask if we can bring in Andrew, and it's Andrew Kai, and he plays the leading man in the Neverlist.
How are you guys?
How are you?
How's it going?
So, Andrew, it's funny because the first time I saw you in the movie, I mean, you're wearing a lot more clothes now than the first time in the movie.
Yeah, a lot more clothes, less oil. So that's good. I'm glad I'm not wearing no clothes.
No 1969 Chevelle with the sweat off and the hot day in LA.
That car was so sick. I was so excited when that car pulled up. I'm like, yeah, no, I drive that. I was so nervous that there was like this one scene where Fievel she ran away from home, and I have to pull this car up and like stop it, abruptly and get out of the car. And the owner was there, and I'm like, oh man, like I do not want to like hit this curb or anything. And it's all big steering wheel. I felt like I was driving a bus.
And the guy who owned the car was like a very big, muscular man. I think he was a bodybuilder or something.
He was a cool dude.
Yeah, so no pressure there, right? Especially those cars, right? It's like a any little scratch there. I mean, that would have been horrible.
Yeah, white leather interior. It was sweet.
So, Andrew, you play Joey Soriel. And but as an actor, you're known in The Valley Girl, All About Nina, and Lethal Weapon. But my favorite is One Glove Rider.
One Glove Rider. Did you watch it?
I did. I loved it.
Oh wow! Thank you. That was fun. That was our quarantine project. Yeah, that was great. Everyone was tested. Everyone was safe. But yeah, I got Fivel's dad in there, Boo Boo in there. It was amazing.
He was hairy.
He was hairy. Ripped that shirt open. He was, yeah. It was great.
So did you first meet at the chemistry? Did you first meet Fievel in the chemistry test, or was it on set?
It was in the chemistry test. That was not supposed to be a chemistry test. It was a producer director session, and then it was like the last 10 Joey Sorias, and they said that, you know, Fievel had the lead role and she was in there, but like a fly on the wall. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So we're not like reading with her. We're going to read with a reader. And so I go in there and I do this first scene, and it was good. And then they're like, okay, Fievel's going to read with you. I'm like, oh, that's exciting. Cool. And she just sat down in front of me. And the scene it's the scene where we're having the picnic, and I kind of open up about, you know, my mom and everything that happened there. And it was just like everyone else. This is going to sound cliche, and I'm not a cliche guy, but it literally, everyone else just kind of disappeared. And I was super just locked in with Fievel, and it was so effortless, and all my lines just flowed out of my mouth. And then it ended, and she, you know, Michelle was like, okay, great. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, it was just exciting. It was easy. It was fun. It felt so great. And
you could see, I mean, no doubt you could see, I went back and watched multiple times just to kind of see the, you know, to look at after, to watch some of those scenes, and you could see the chemistry, no doubt. And actually not just between you, both of you, but also your friends, as well as, you know, Fievel, your Ava's parents and Keiko.
Yeah.
And there's especially one scene where the first time, Keiko, where you meet, where Ava brings home Joey. And do you remember that scene with the back and forth kind of surprise at the dinner table? Do you remember that? I mean, that to me, there's so much underlying tension and words said, emotion said, and kind of telepathy done, even though the words, there weren't necessarily a lot there, but it's so much going on in that scene. Do you remember much of that?
Yeah, my character was not happy to come home to that view at the. I mean, oh, by the way, should we answer any of Jess's questions? I think she's on like, she has like 4 questions in the private chat. But to answer your question, Michael, yeah, that was not. There's a lot of with the eyes, you know, distance. Sure. Oh, they're for later. Oh, Jess, sorry. The audience, I'm showing how the sausage is made. What does this happen, Jess? They're for later. Ha ha ha. But thanks for looking out. Okay, never mind. Everything's fine.
So
what a mom.
What a mom. I can't stop. I'm like, is everything being taken care of today?
So the director of the Neverlist is Michelle Mower, and we have the pleasure of having her here with us as well. Jess, could you bring Michelle in? Hi, Michelle.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been my honor to get the story, help make the story, and get it told and get it out to the world.
How did you first come about seeing this script, the story?
Okay, so I was looking for a teen comedy. Actually, I was looking for something that was a little bit, you know, maybe satirical, something along the lines of like, I don't know, like Heathers, or some of the teen films that I grew up watching back in the 80s and early 90s when I was a teenager. And those films, you know, heavily influenced me. But I was looking for something unique, something that had a really interesting, you know, sort of an interesting, you know, story to it that maybe we hadn't seen before. And so I went on a site that a lot of producers use called inktip.com, where you can sort of search screenplays, and found one that was written by this woman named Ariadne Schaefer. And I read the screenplay and absolutely fell in love with the story, and reached out to Ariadne through the platform, through Inktip, and asked her if the script was optioned, if it was available, that kind of thing. And so she and I had a phone conversation, and right off the bat, our conversation was in the script. It didn't really specify whether Ava was, what her ethnicity was, or her background, or any attributes to her other than she was kind of a goody goody. and so Ariadne and I had a conversation, and one of the first things I said is, I really would love to see this character be non-white, and she totally agreed. She was 100,000% behind that, and so through our discussions and then sort of development of the story, we decided to make the character mixed, half Asian American, half Caucasian. And for me, that was just because I wanted to explore the parents' dynamic, and how maybe different parents from different backgrounds and experiences parent their kids, and how this family, who always had everything probably pretty easy because their daughter was a good girl. She did what she was supposed to do, and studied hard and made good grades, and was very actively involved in her school's student council and so forth. Suddenly she becomes not such a good girl, right? And how that would affect these two parents who come from very different parenting perspectives. So to me, it just made the story more interesting in a lot of ways. And so we worked on that together, and I hope we achieved that. I'll let you decide.
I thought you definitely did, and I love the movie. How were you lucky to find the perfect Ava in Fievel?
Well, as Fivel mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, I'm calling you Ava. Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
So as Fivel mentioned earlier, she sent us an audition tape, and typically what we'll do is we'll have actors send us an audition tape initially, and then we'll do a callback later, and that's usually in person. But I was so sold on her tape that I was like, nope, choose it. We found her, and so our casting director reached out to see her availability, and she was available. So it's pretty traditional way that actors get cast in this day and age.
Had any of you seen Gilmore Girls before working with Keiko?
I did, yeah. I used to watch some episodes on and off. That was super cool.
I like Andrew the best.
I hate to admit this, but I've never seen Gilmore Girls. I'm so sorry, Keiko. I've never seen it. It is on my list to watch, so I do plan to watch it at some point.
I mean, such an iconic character, and I'm just curious from with Andrew, you watching it, and then Fievel, did you?
I did not. No, I didn't.
In some ways, there probably is probably some benefit to not, because the kind of this bigger than life.
I've always heard about it. It's an iconic show. I don't really watch a lot of TV, so I hadn't watched it.
There's a lot of similarities with the parent-child relationship, no doubt, between the two. So, Andrew, with that first kiss, let's say on screen, was Nils there?
Nils was not there for the first kiss. Which one? Where was the first kiss? What scene was the first kiss, Bob?
I think it was in. It was
the picnic, and then you pulled away.
Scene was the first kiss.
Which one?
The first scene was the first kiss.
The first scene. So the picnic, and then she kind of pulled away. Cool. So that was Nils was not there. Thank God. That was my first day on set. But he was there for a lot of it, and he's a big man. That's you guys mentioned where he played the security guard.
It's funny because I remember that night. I think a lot of us sort of suspected that there was something going on between y'all, but it had not been like made set official or anything at that point.
Yeah.
And we were setting up. I mean, that was kind of a big scene that we were filming, and your dad and Fivel's dad comes up. And she's like, "Yeah, so this Joey kid." I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "So what's going on with him and Fivel?" I'm like, "Dude, I do not know. Don't ask me. I am not involved in any of that. I'm just directing the movie. I don't know what's going on."
Yeah. And then at the rap party, we're all, having fun. And then Nils, it's like, I've never actually said words to him except the lines in the movie. And he's just like, "Hey, Andrew." And he stands up. He's like, "Are you dating my daughter?" And I'm like, are we official? I like just froze. It was embarrassing. Yeah. But,
So you play a misunderstood, bad boy, is that, how close are you to that in real life?
Super on brand.
Yeah.
Fivel, is that true?
I guess, I mean, he, like, being able to learn about a person, he's like, every time someone asks me what Andrew's like, I would just say he's like everything. Like, he really is, he could be anything he wants. Like, one day he'll be like a hippy dippy wearing those like flowy pants, and then the next day he'll be in like a more of a suit outfit, and then the next day he'll look like he's going to the beach or a skater boy, and then like he'll wear a boot. It's like I'm dating so many people. It's quite
my acting was so appealing. I feel like I don't have an identity, but every day it's different. Depends how I wake up. Depends what song I play in the morning, and then I'm that guy. So sometimes it's born to be wild, and I'm a little bit of a rebel.
He's a cowboy.
Keiko, one of the most there's a lot of moving scenes, very moving scenes throughout the whole film. One of the ones that resonates to me the most, and it's not giving it away because it's in the description of the film, was when you had to tell Ava that her friend had passed. What was that like as an actor to be able to get to that place, which was really fantastic in terms of your portrayal there, and the realism and the emotions, that the underlying piece was great. What did you have to do as an actor to get to that?
Well, I think one of the nice things about this whole set and the kind of environment and mood that Michelle helped establish is that it felt very intimate, and so I think that in a lot of ways it was easy to it was a lot easier to just play it real of, okay, this is my daughter in front of me, and coming in with no expectations of what it is how she's going to react to this news. So that was sort of the fun of all of the little scenes that we got to play together, is that it was very easy to just not have an expectation and just play it a moment to see what happened, because it felt so everything had a very natural feel to it when just on the day. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I think. That's what I think about when I think back to shooting.
Yeah, it was, to bounce off of that comment, it was a very a free environment. Like, Michelle would give us pinpoints of what she wanted us to hit. And then as long as we hit those beats, our reactions were just whatever in that moment. It was very, I've never done theater, but I would assume it's just like doing like theater, freely expressing yourself and just having words to, have to say. But there was nothing like I don't want to say not to prepare for, but everything was just like very, okay, so what are we feeling now? Which was really nice.
Well, I thought my philosophy as a director that you let the actors do the job and not try to over-direct them, and give them the information that they need. Because we're filming this scenes and they're out of order, and it's like, okay, what happened before this and what happened? So, that's my job, is to help keep that ship, sort of sailing, going in the right direction. But ultimately, you have to let the actors do their jobs and not and not be, too hands-on with it, because I think that actually takes away from performances oftentimes. So I do sort of like, kind of be. A lot of people are like, well, the directors, first, I'm kind of over here. I'm not like right up in their, their faces all the time. Giving them notes. But if it's, if it's great, if it's a good take, then I give them, the thumbs up and we move on. And if it's not, we tweak until we get it.
Yeah.
When did you shoot this?
We shot it in October, November of 2018. And yes, it's taken us this long to get to this point. We've had a few things happen. Post-production took a little, this is I'm not going to be shy about this. This is a low budget film. It's a very modest budget film. And we had to raise some money to finish up our post-production, and it took us about a year to kind of get through that process. We finished the film in January of 2020. And just as we were about to start, because the last thing we did, remember, Fievel, we went to do ADR in Portland.
Yeah.
And then we finished the film at the end of January. And I was like gung ho, ready to get it out to film festivals and couldn't wait. And, had all these big ideas about, our big festival premiere. And then COVID happened. And festivals started to shut down, and, film productions, all productions started shutting down. I had a production I was supposed to do in April that got postponed indefinitely, it looks like. And theaters started to shut down. So our industry basically came to a virtual standstill. And so we just were, trying to figure out, well, what do we do with this film? And so we there was very much of a wait and see early on. But ultimately, we decided to apply to the AMC Indie program, thinking, well, there's no way we're going to get into that because theaters are closed down, and but we had nothing to lose, right? And miraculously, we got in, and so that sort of led to the theatrical release that we're tomorrow. And then once AMC was on board with the film, then a number of other chains around the country started to pick up the film as well. So as of now, I think we have over 100 cinemas who are premiering the film tomorrow, who are releasing the film tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Amazing. Blowing my mind to even think about it even now. But it was a lot of hard work and effort and some heartbreaks, over the process, but ultimately, we made I think a really great film, and I hope that people will come out and support it.
Right. Fievel, your family is so multi-talented in so many different ways, and not just acting, but music and singing and stunts and all this, all these sort of things. And you get a chance to show some of that in the film.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the song that I sing at prom is me singing. And yeah, I don't, I've always wanted to be a singer. It's like always been, something that maybe one day I'll do, but I feel like, and my brother's in a band, and yeah, we are trying to always create. I really feel like my steadiness, though, I desire is going to be in acting. Like I love to sing, but not maybe for a job, but yeah, everything else, stunts, I do stunts. Yeah.
I mean, it's great to be able to kind of combine. I don't think there's tons of stunts in this, but in terms of coming together, right, to be able to use parts of your different parts of your
and just being capable of doing it, is a really nice thing to be confident about.
Right. Well, we have a bunch of questions. We have about 10 minutes, and a bunch of questions that coming from fans. We have some questions rolling in on the chats. I have a bunch of questions that were emailed and messaged to me earlier. So we're just gonna do some speed round questions, and anyone can kind of just jump in here. And I'll start here. So this is from Anjay. What do you do to prepare for a role? And this goes to anybody.
Well, there's a lot. I'm trying to like edit it down. Okay, I can do like a maybe. I'll start it off at least. But I was just writing some stuff out today. I'll just talk about what's currently on my mind about preparing for a role, and that is to know between what it is that you have to nail down for your character and what it is that you have to leave open to discover in the moment. And they're very different things, and as different as you can make them and as clear as you can have it in your mind what it is that you need really drill down for your character before you get there. To know that difference is really vital, because I think so from my experience, if because I've done this for a little while, my habit now is to over prepare, is to think so much about the scene that I've run it in my mind so many times that I'm starting to think, oh, well, I know my character so well that I know how they would respond to this thing, and that's death too. So it's that balance of running it and really investing all of the meanings and the actor's work, the meanings and your point of view of the person and your point of view of everything that you're doing, but then also leaving that space open to receive on the actual day, which is the fun stuff.
Yeah, I see the results of that from your some of your scenes from Prodigal Son. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff you can see where that work is done, but also some ability to play. Fievel?
I feel like this is going to sound poor on my end. A lot of the time I don't prepare. I'm a very emotional person as it is. I like live in my abdominal area. And so I can really, like if I'm supposed to be sad, or happy, or like the simple emotions, for me, I don't have, and maybe, and with my current experience, it really changed. So this was me. So like bouncing off of what Keiko said, this is me before Amma. I would just kind of get sides and just do it how I believe the character should do it. I don't, one thing that I have consistently done is write about it before I audition. So like, how am I feeling? Who am I? What characters in this scene do I know? Who are they to me? Are pinpoints that I do. But then again, there's how I prepared for another film, and that was completely building this relationship and like not hypnotherapy, but like meditationally living in the character, and then like really closing my eyes and being the character for 20 minutes and like reacting of however she would, and then being on set and completely throwing it away. So it's really I mean, I'm still really young and I've only done a few projects, so I feel like I will find that like flow of how I prepare, but it's right now it's all over the place, really.
But your point about being present is so important. I mean, there's so many people who have been actors for a long, long time, and I know you've been an actor for a long time too. But just people who've been a lot, and the hardest part is being present, and it's so much technical, and sometimes being present, and that's really the most important, really. Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned over these past 5 years of my professional career, I've learned a lot of things what not to do. It started there. There was this audition that went pretty far, and it was like I wanted it so badly, and I spent a week digging a hole in the backyard. I wore the same shirt, and I had blisters all over my hands. And I learned nothing about this character except that I don't like digging. And so when it got down to like this final audition that I had to go, it was terrible because I had no relationship to the person. All I knew is that my hands hurt. So, yeah, I think now it's about relationship. It's about what is my objective in this scene? What do I want as a character? And I and it's also all about, as much as you need to prepare, need to also respect the writer and technically what this writer did and put on the page in the arc of what this writer, they're telling a story, and we have to tell their story. But the most important is to prepare, and then once you get in there, just forget all of it so you can stay present.
Yeah, I think it's like really interesting, especially being in a relationship with Andrew. We prepare so differently. And I mean, on my end, it's like so inspiring to see him really take scenes and dissect them. Like I don't really, I get a scene, but I'm not like, okay, so here is the arc. So, and then here is what that character has learned about this person. And then here is the joke, like, like comedic timing. I mean, like I said, the arc, like I've realized through even auditions, I could be very one note, which ultimately is realistic, because this is conversation. Like your conversations aren't like up here and down here and then, but like seeing someone dissect it and like go to class and like learn how to do that, it's like it's very hard. It's hard.
Well, I mean, all of you, but you all have just really incredible instincts as actors, and I think that being able to take these words on a page and sort of however your process is, internalize them to the point it worked. Whatever you were doing, it definitely worked. And I mean, I had to give very little notes, because I felt like they just got it, oftentimes. And I mean, we did 2 or 3 takes just to, sometimes just to, well, actually all the time, but we do a few extra takes just to try different things, but like I told Fievel at the very beginning of this, there's no such thing as a bad choice or a bad take or bad choice. Like, do it. If it's, if I like it, well, great. We're still going to probably do it again, just because we're trying different things. So I don't think she ever felt like she was doing it wrong, or at least I hope she didn't feel that way, because I don't think that's how directors should communicate with their actors.
I do remember that. Yeah, you never told me like no take is a wrong take. It's really helpful.
Yeah, it's it either works or it doesn't, and I'm not gonna we're just gonna keep trying until I feel like I've got what I need to be able to tell the story, right? And for the most part, they would get it within 2 to 3 takes max. So they were very, very good with that. And I also will say that that working with actors who are so professional and so experienced, who came to set on time, who had their lines memorized, who did exactly what they what their job was wonderful, because it really made a difference on this film for sure. Like they say, 90% of directing is casting well. So I think we definitely I did that. I definitely cast well. No question.
So I have some questions for the speed round. This is from Annika and Charlotte. Do you like boba tea? And if you do, what flavor? Fievel.
Yes, I like boba tea, and I'm boring. I just get plain green tea, unsweetened, no milk, water tea with boba.
Keiko.
I like boba tea, but I have it really rarely because it's so sweet for me. But I love like coffee, like a very coffee flavor.
Yeah.
Do you try any of the other types of the jelly and all that stuff?
Yeah, but that's the hard part, because you see the list and you think, oh, I want to put everything in, and then it's like then it's a mess. It's hard to choose. It's hard to be really selective.
Andrew?
Yeah, I could bathe in jasmine milk boba tea. It's the best. And again, I'm not a massively sweet person, so that's it's the subtle flavor there.
Yeah.
Good.
Michelle?
I like the lavender milk.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That's my go-to boba. Yeah.
This comes from Amy. This comes from Amy and Chloe. What's your favorite movie?
I just Suspiria, the new one with Tilda Swinton. She plays the male and the female, and it's a cult movie. It's about witches. It's a remake. I haven't seen the original, but yeah, Suspiria is quite amazing.
Suspiria, I never heard of it.
Suspiria. Oh, look it up.
You should see the original too.
I should see the original. I've heard so many times I need to.
I like this documentary called Herb and Dorothy. I've probably seen it like 50 times.
Ooh.
It's at the point where it's just comfort food to me.
Mine changes on a daily basis, but right now, just because I've been talking about it a lot, is the Pope of Greenwich Village. And we just watched that scene where Eric Roberts and they took my thumb, Charlie. But better than that. But, yeah.
Have you worked with Eric Roberts?
Yes, and so has Andrew. We both have.
Both have.
Yeah.
On what?
For me, it was a pilot that did not get picked up, and he played my father, and he was amazing. Yeah.
And he was in Hansel and Gretel.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What about you, Michelle?
My favorite movie is a very old classic film called A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, from the 1940s. So you can go check it out. I'm a big fan of classic, like old classic films. So that was one of my favorites, for sure.
I got a lot of movies to check out. My last question, this is kind of an inside question from my daughters, Alana, Michaela, and Sienna, is Andrew and Fievel, where are you guys now? Where in the world are you?
Where are we?
We're in New York, visiting his family, and we are currently in the same house. He's in his dad's office, and I'm in the living room.
That was where I was getting at. Fievel, Keiko, Andrew, Michelle, congratulations on the Never List. I loved it. I can't wait for the world to see it. Congratulations on your premiere tomorrow at over 100 theaters, and I'm sure more to it, down the road. So congratulations, and it was fantastic talking with you, and thank you so much for spending some time spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll turn it back to Michelle, our wonderful host at Cape.
Thank you so much for this amazing panel, and so excited for the premiere tomorrow in theaters, as the panel has just said. I hope everyone will have a chance to check it out this weekend. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll have a survey sent out, so be on the lookout for that. And that really just helps us keep these panels free and accessible to everyone. And if you're able to, please make a donation to CAPE. We are a 501c3, and thank you again, just everyone, for coming to watch tonight. Thank you to Michael, our moderator, and all of our fabulous panels.